very big thank you to my man Norsdeck for suggesting this video topic to me. Yo, what is going on, guys? It's story time here for you, and apparently California is the first state to require, not just desire, but require women on corporate boards. In Sacramento, California has become the first state to require publicly traded companies to include women on their boards of directors, one of several laws boosting or protecting women that Governor Jerry Brown, the Mangina, signed on Sunday. The measure requires at least one female director on the board of each California-based public corporation by the end of next year. Companies would need up to 3 female directors by the end of 2021, depending on the number of board seats. The Democratic governor, why is that not a surprise? Democratic governor referenced the objections and legal concerns that the law has raised. The California Chamber of Commerce has said that the policy will be difficult for companies to implement and violates constitutional prohibitions against discrimination. I don't minimize the potential flaws that indeed may prove fatal to its ultimate implementation, Brown wrote in a signing statement, although I imagine his voice would have been far more high-pitched than that. I just wanted to differentiate that from the rest of the article. Nevertheless, recent events in Washington, D.C. and beyond make it crystal clear that many are not getting the message. Not getting the message that we need to have more women everywhere. Just because vagina. That was my little take on it, but you know Sydney, right? It is one of several measures affecting women that Brown signed Sunday, his last opportunity to approve or veto laws before the term-limited governor leaves office. So he's basically leaving a legacy of vagina. He's leaving a legacy of simpery, and he's leaving a legacy of cuckoldry. He also approved legislation requiring smaller employers to provide sexual harassment training and banning secret settlements related to sexual assault and harassment. So every employer is now going to have to indoctrinate their new employees in consent laws, which are no doubt going to be written by radical feminists. Surprise, surprise. Is it any wonder California is going down the drain? But he vetoed a bill that would have required California's public universities to provide medication for abortion at campus health centers, saying the services are already widely available off campus. Brown's actions come as the hashtag #MeToo movement against sexual misconduct led to a reckoning nationwide that has ousted men from power. And no women, I note. The latest no women, including Asia Argento, who should have been the first person to go. The latest high-profile allegations are against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, who has denied decades-old claims of sexual misconduct from 3 women. The author of the California Measure on Corporate Boards, SB 826, says she believes having more women in power could help to reduce sexual assault and harassment in the workplace. Oh yeah, that's really going to reduce sexual assault and harassment in the workplace. It's totally going to reduce the amount of women bitching about other men and women. Oh, they got no clue. Having more women on the boards will also make companies more successful. Oh, here we go. State Senator Hannah Beth Jackson said. Can I hear a Ms. Hannah Beth Jackson? Women tend to be more collaborative and are better at multitasking, the Santa Barbara Democrat said. A fourth of publicly held corporations with headquarters in California don't have any women on their boards of directors. These companies have not done enough to increase the number of women on their boards, despite the legislature's urging making government intervention necessary, Ms. Jackson said. This is one of the last bastions of total male domination, she said. We know that the public and business are not being well served by this level of discrimination, she said. The California Chamber of Commerce argued that the composition of corporate boards should be determined internally, not mandated by government. I think that's a pretty on-point statement from the California Chamber of Commerce. I would think, just my personal opinion there. The Chamber said that the new law will prioritize gender over other aspects of diversity, such as race and ethnicity. Absolutely it will. And it creates a challenge for a board on achieving broader diversity goals, said Jennifer Barrera, Senior Vice President for Policy at the Chamber. The law applies to companies that report having their principal executive offices in California. Well, I would say that this law is going to result in a lot of companies relocating their principal executive offices from California to elsewhere, adversely affecting California's economy and rates of employment, which is inherently going to affect women's rates of unemployment as well. So they're basically going to shoot themselves in the foot by being completely stupid. The law applies to companies that report having their principal executive offices in California. Companies can be fined 100,000 Canadian dollars for a first violation and $300,000 for subsequent violations. The law also requires companies to report their board composition to the California Secretary of State. So not only do they have to employ women based on vagina and not based on merit if they can't find a woman that meets the standards of meritocracy required for that particular role, but they're going to have to pay $100,000 if they get caught out not doing it straight off the bat, and then $300,000 every time after that. And on top of that, on top of all of that bullshit, they then have to report. So it's even more administrative work. Let me continue. So the law also requires companies to report their board composition to the California Secretary of State and imposes a $100,000 fine if a company fails to do so. So even if the company had women on the board and they failed to report, they would still get a $100,000 fine. Some European countries, including Norway and France, already mandate that corporate boards include women. Well, I'm not going to be moving to Norway or France anytime soon, if that's the kind of bullshit that they're pulling already. Brown stopped short on Sunday of making California the first state to mandate public colleges and universities offer abortion medication at their health centers. A bill by Democratic Senator Connie Laver, Ms. Laver, no doubt, would have required all, and of course Democratic Senator, what a surprise, would have required all 34 University of California and California State University campuses to make the drug available at their health centers by 2022. The public school now refers students to outside providers. Abortion rights advocates said that made it difficult for women without a car and also expensive because many private providers do not accept student insurance. A group of private donors, some of them anonymous, had vowed to pay for up to $20 million in startup costs, including ultrasound equipment and training for both medical and billing staff. Abortions using medication are induced by taking 2 pills, which can be given up to 10 weeks into a pregnancy. 1 pill is administered in the clinic and a second drug is taken later at home. The drugs induce bleeding similar to a miscarriage. Laver vowed to reintroduce the bill under California's next governor. Brown is leaving office early next year. I am hopeful that our incoming legislature and governor will agree that the right to choose isn't just a slogan, but rather a commitment to improving true access to abortion for students across California, she said in a statement. Now, guys, I honestly don't know what your thoughts are on this, but my thoughts is that this is some next level bullshit. So imagine, right? A company doesn't want to hire people just because they've got a vagina, and they might not be able to find a woman who's the perfect person for the job, that's capable of doing the job required. I mean, maybe they're not looking in the right places. But how are they meant to know where to look if they haven't looked there before? You know, you can't just always say, oh, well, I want a woman on the board and that she needs to do all this. So, you know, you're the woman I need. You know, they're not always easy to find. There's women out there, sure, but they're going to become more and more sparse, particularly at that level, as every company is required to start having them on the boards. So it's just going to make things more and more difficult on companies to find someone that's actually right for their company. So do they hire someone based on vagina? And then if that particular individual starts screwing up the company, what do? Do they then fire her? Because that's going to result in a $100,000 fine unless they find someone else. And that person might not be right either. And if they don't fire her, at what cost to the company? At what cost to the business? Is she going to make allegations when she thinks she's about to be ousted from her high-paying job? Of course she is half the time. Right? Because if you're hiring people based on vagina and not on merit, then you're going to get people that wouldn't have made the job on merit. And those type of people, they know that they didn't get the job on merit. So they also know that it's going to be hard for them to maybe get another job. Well, probably not in California, because they'll just be like, oh, I have a vagina. There you are. You're someone to go on our board of directors. You're hired. I just think it's ridiculous. Whatever. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comments below. If you want to check me out on my other platforms, look in the description below. If you are one of the 75 to 80% of people that watch my videos that haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscription button below. Hit the bell next to it. If you want to get one of these sweet Sydney hoodies, especially in Canada or the US where it's heading into winter shortly. These are fleecy as fuck. Go to my represent.com store below. In the meantime, guys, share this with everyone you know. Share this with anyone you know in California especially. And share this with anyone that thinks that women only get onto boards of directors by way of their own merit. Anyway, guys, until next time, peace.